Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Inside of today's video, going to be giving you guys a full breakdown of all the maps within ranked, giving you guys the best picks, bans, strategies, everything like that. So I appreciate you guys if you subscribed, because this took a very long time. I literally played for like 13 plus hours yesterday. I've been doing it all day today and making sure I've got the best list for you guys. So without further ado, let's jump straight into it. So we're going to be going in different game modes. Going to be putting the timestamps in the description so you guys can just skip wherever you want to go. So first off, we're going to start off with Bounty XL. So we have the return of this map. Also, the map pools have changed completely. So I would have actually had this video out earlier, but because of all the changes, I had to find out the meta again myself and do it firsthand. So XL, you can see here on the screen, the best picks always going to be Melody and Angelo. I will say the difference with XL is that most of the time sharpshooters aren't actually as strong as you think. They still probably will work against the bad randoms, but once you get higher on in the elo, you probably will struggle. So you see other characters that just get good pressure, you know, like Cordelius, for example, Kit, Amber, kind of non-generic sharpshooters that can wall peek pretty well, are going to be pretty strong on XL. Next up, we have Layer Cake. Here are your best compositions on your screen right here. So again, best first picks always going to be the same. And then in terms of other good picks as well, I think RT is super slept on because there's a lot of kit cheese going on. There's a lot of tanks in the meta. So RT is good against everything with his new gadgets. So you're going to see him a lot. In terms of late picks, throwers are always going to be the best on Layer Cake. And then I would say snipers are still pretty strong here, but you will probably get away with going more aggressive brawlers down the lane. You know, Grey with the Walking Cane gadget, for example, Buster with his gadget. Throwers are going to have so much presence on this map, so making sure not to draft three of the same brawlers as always on a game mode like Bounty. And lastly for Bounty, we have Shooting Star. So here's the best comps and also a draft on your screen right here. So it was pretty hard to get like complete exact best brawlers for all of them because the pros haven't played on these new maps in ranked just yet, but Shooting Star is pretty much the same as always. I would say the introduction of Byron and Max are a little bit more prevalent in the meta, so you might get a bit more aggression with Max combined with something else. In terms of sleeper picks as well, we have 8-Bit, who's actually really good paired with a sniper and a thrower. We've seen that a lot in competitive. Pearl, still pretty underrated here. There's a lot of sharpshooters, but like I said, normally noobs don't ban out some of the best picks on this map, and you can just absolutely carry over the likes of Piper and Nanny. So now we're going to be moving on to Brawl, starting off with Galaxy Arena. Here are your best picks on the screen right here. So I only got the chance to play this a few times, but I'm pretty certain on the meta it's literally just tanks and tanks counters. That's just how grassy maps have been with sneaky fields and center stage. So I think the same strategy will basically apply here. So I'm not really liking this map because it's just a lot of kind of poke in the middle. Make sure to equip the vision gear. There's a lot of solid options though, a lot of solid tank counters out there. The go-to ones which I really like, which are super underrated, are the likes of Surge, for example, really strong in the meta. And we also have Cordelius, which is two of the best shutdowns tanks. Other than that, there isn't really a lot that real deals with them. Same with Shelly as well. But yeah, there's a lot on your screen here, but make sure to abuse the good first picks. Next up, we have Pinball Dreams. Here are your best picks on the screen right here. So again, it's the same old brawlers for Brawl, especially with the introduction of Sandy and Nita in the meta from last update with the powerful hyperchargers. They're just going to dominate pretty much all of the time. Pinball Dreams, I will say there is a big bias towards a late pick because the tanks can be really strong on this map, being able to push up behind those walls, and throws are going to be really strong. So bear that in mind with your drafting. Again, making sure you've at least got one brawler that can get some aggression or a wall break. You've got to have one or the other. So that's going to be the likes of, you could go like a Ruffs with a wall break. You could literally go Cordelius with a jump gadget. You could go other wall break brawlers as well. You could go like Stu with wall break. There's a lot of good options on this map. Lastly for Brawl, we have Retina. Here are the best picks on your screen right here. So I'll say straight away that you need a tank or big heavy tank counters. This map is just crazy dumb on ladder, and it's the same in ranked. It's just tanks everywhere, so you're either gonna ban the tanks or be very prepared. So that's why I recommend the likes of Cordelius, Shelly and Nita. Those are gonna be your best free tank counters. And then you have Charlie and Surge as well, who can be heavy hitters or just abuse the tanks yourself with Rosa, Jackie, etc. Because it doesn't matter how many wall breakers you have, how many the tank counters you have. You could literally have three of the hardest, and still tanks with hyperchargers will overrun you. Trust me, I've done this on ladder so many times, and it's just so many Jackie hyperchargers that could just run around. So honestly, I don't have too many recommendations in terms of just running down at the opponents. Just good luck with this one. So now moving on to gem grab, starting off with Acute Angle. Here are your best picks on your screen right here. So Acute Angle, I will say most time it just comes down to how well your mid pinches with a lane. If you've got a really good mid, you can start a spawn trap, and this map can be pretty toxic. So in terms of the good picks that are really underrated, your mid brawler, there's a lot of good mid brawlers, but I will say like Jean is probably my favorite because the pull is just so easy to hit on this map. So you got the likes of Jean, Angelo, Max, probably not really any of the sharpshooters. It's a bit of an awkward one. You probably want to use like a hybrid mid on this map, like Stu, for example, as well, can be pretty strong. In terms of the power picks, I will say like throwers are really good as a late pick on this map. So again, be careful of that. Either have a wall break or some type of aggression. Don't leave yourself getting countered by having 3 squishy brawlers. But there are a lot of options here. Making sure that you at least got one brawler down the lane that can get a lot of pressure, whether that be Buster, Cordelius, you know, something that can wreak havoc, so then the mid can safely collect those gems. So next up, we have double swoosh here, your best picks on the screen right here. So as always with double swoosh, I will say to try and equip the vision gear on as many brawlers as possible. So the big one is Jean. Vision gear is just insane. You know, you've got likes of Amber, really good with vision gear. You've got Max as well. You've got a few other of the high projectile brawlers that are pretty underrated on this map, like Lola, like Pam, for example. They're going to be able to scout pretty well. But again, those pesky tanks are going to be annoying on this map. I'm seeing a lot more, especially since Sandy and Max have arrived in the meta. So be careful of the Roses, the Busters. You've also got Search, who's really strong with the speed gear. Any kind of speedster is going to be good on a map like double swoosh. So again, in the mids, there's going to be a few good options. You got Max, Jean, Stu, Jesse, Bo. There's a few good ones there. In terms of really powerful picks, Amber's always going to be that powerful pick down the right hand side, being able to break open the gem carrier's grass, and just overall it's just really hot to push in Amber right now. There's also a cheesy strategy with Grey and a tank. You go Grey gem carrier, you get one good teleport into the middle, and tanks will just run all over. So good few strategies. Like I said, just be careful of this map. Make sure that you've got one brawler that can at least scout the grass efficiently. And finally, for gem grab, we have Hard Rock Mine here, your best brawlers on the screen right here. So you've got an example draft. This was played in the last monthly final, so if you really want to focus on this map, there's a lot of data there. But in terms of what I would really go, I don't know, mid isn't as important on Hard Rock Mine in my opinion, because there's a lot of good mid brawlers. There's Jean, there's Angelo, there's Max, there's 8-Bit, there's Piper, there's Belle, there's Byron. There's so many good options for a mid, but again, making sure that you're not leaving yourself too short. I'll try and go for the brawler that's best against tanks, but then again, there's a lot of meta mids that are good against tanks right now. In terms of what I would be careful for, again, last pick, I would be very careful of the brawlers that can get in behind frequently. So whether that's a Rosa, whether that's a Carl, whether that's Lily with the gadget, it's actually pretty toxic on this map. Again, be wary. So that's why I like to go the likes of Charlie, Rico, Surge. Again, there's a lot of good tank counters in this meta, so make sure to use it. So now moving on to Heist, starting off with Bridge Too Far here, your best picks on the screen. So the troublesome trio is always going to be Angelo, Melody, and Chuck. They're just by far the best options in Heist pretty much everywhere. But there's some other solid options as well. You got Eve, who's just a good brawler to pick up all the mess, and especially normally you got like 2 heavy hitters on your team at least. Eve's just going to be good at defending and at least keeping the balance of the game. Colt's just really good on Heist always. Amber is a really solid option on this map. May get countered by a few of the sharpshooters, but she's just a good brawler that's good against everything. That's why I really enjoy going Amber here. Again, in terms of good lanes, you want a good 1v1 brawler because that's literally the point of the map, right? So that's why Piper, Nanny, Belle can be so good. Belle with the trap. I would say Crow can be good towards the later end of the draft because he's countered by sharpshooters, but if he gets a good matchup, he can farm his super and hype charge and end the game pretty quickly. But I wouldn't really say there's any like sleeper picks here. Maybe 8-Bit's underrated. I would say Colette is a bit overrated, so bear that in mind. But yeah, that's going to be Bridge Too Far. So next up we have Pit Stop. So again, Pit Stop, just like Hot Potato from previous season, it's just complete base race. So don't try and go control. Just either go with like 1 defender and just 2 brawlers that are just going to run at the safe consistently. So your best 3 options are going to be Angelo, Melody, and Nita. I'll probably say if you're at the kind of below legendary, don't go Angelo because there's just going to be so much aggression, but Angelo's good at the top level. Melody, of course, it's Melody on Heist. Nita, you just need to cycle 1 bear and then you get a hyper charge bear and that just ends the game like that. And then you've got 2 good kind of hybrid brawlers with Ruffs and Rico. Rico's going to be good on the aggressive with the gadget. Ruff's going to be good at just breaking open a map and defending. You've got Edgar as well. He's actually a good first pick. I know there's a lot of Edgar counters, but it's just his jump, right? It's the fact that you can just bypass all of the action and just jump onto the high safe. That automatically gets you pressure, and it's actually pretty good. I'm the biggest Edgar hater, but he's really good on this map. That's why Miko's underrated as well. In terms of late picks, you got the likes of Dynamite, Barley, Willow, who can all be pretty good in the draft. You know, tanks are just going to be good no matter what. So if I was you, probably go at least one tanky option, go one heavy hitter, and then go like a defender. And lastly, for Heist, we have Safe Zone here, your best picks on the screen right here. So an example draft as well. I'd say it's a little bit crazier because it's NA draft, but at the same time, it's good to see what the pros ban as well. So brawler that's been super slept on a map like Safe Zone is Crow. Bear in mind that you've got to make sure that you're only really jumping in once you get your hypercharge. Crow's kind of like a defender for the most part with his slows, trying to combine with like a sniper. So I would say, you know, combining with like a piper with the slows would be perfect. Most of the time, the top three are just banned all the time. Colette's going to be really good on this map, of course, down the left-hand side. Same with Colt as well for some reason. People just don't ban out Colt, even though he's like one of the best damage dealers. In terms of late picks, there's not many cheesy options on this map, so don't really be too worried. You know, they've got Cole, but only a few players can really play a good Cole. Grom as well, you've got that option. In terms of good filler options, you've got the likes of Eve, good consistent brawler, Belle as well. You've got the likes of Amber. Again, you can never go wrong with an Amber. Okay, so now moving on to Hot Zone, starting off with Dueling Beetles. Here are the best picks on the screen right here. So this is a returning map from the last rotation, and we've got some pro drafts as well to take a look at. So again, in terms of best picks, you guys are probably bored of Melody and Angelo. They're just the best everywhere, and then Sandy on this map is insane. It just get counted in pro play, but it takes a lot of pinching, a lot of teamworks, and I just don't think in ranked you randoms aren't going to be able to pinch a Sandy out, so just be careful of it. It's really good on Hot Zone. You've also got the likes of Jesse, always insane. You've got Draco, who's just insane with a Byron or Poco or just anything like that. Draco will just destroy the opponents, trust me. I've been abusing it so much yesterday. He's really strong in Hot Zone meta. In terms of other cheesy combinations as well, I'd say this map is more for the cheesy comps. Unfortunately, with randoms, they might not really be able to synergize well with you if you pick like a Poco or pick a Gray. So that's one of the two brawlers you want to synergize, Poco and Gray, then go a tank, and then just go like a decent kind of filler brawler, so like Amber, Stu, Cordelia, something like that. So for me, Dueling Beetles is just chaotic. So next up with Hot Zone, we have Ring of Fire here, your best picks on the screen right here. So with Ring of Fire, a lot of people do the wrong strategy. They try and flank too much and waste too much time. With me, always send two people down the middle just to try and get as much zone time as possible, and then you might want to send one person, try and get in behind, but a lot of time it doesn't really work out because literally the objective of this game mode is to get percentages. Trust me, just aim for the middle pretty much all of the time. So in terms of best first picks, Angelo, Melody always. Sandy can be pretty good. I will say again, at the highest of elo, might get pinched out too early, but at the same time you should be able to use it most of the time. Stu, really good filler option. Again, Draco is really strong with Byron and synergy. Might not to be too strong on his own, but with good support, he'll just absolutely dominate. In terms of other good picks that I like on this map, Buster, you might not think it, nice open map, but a lot of brawlers don't actually hit too hard on this map. For example, you know, his biggest counters aren't really in this meta on Ring of Fire, so I found myself going Buster a lot on Ring of Fire. You've got, of course, Amber, good everywhere, never banned. You've got the likes of Ruffs, can be just a good kind of mid-brawler. 8-bit can be pretty underrated on this map as well. Pam is so good with the mythic gear. There's a lot of options on Ring of Fire. And lastly, for Hot Zone, we have Splits here, your best picks on the screen right here. So Split plays so much differently than any other Hot Zone map. It's actually pretty tank heavy for the most part, and the way you play Split is most of the time you send two people down the right and one person down the left, because you really want to make sure you defend that right side as much as possible. So I will say the biggest strat and the biggest mistake that people make is they break open the right hand side. Do not do that ever unless there's like a thrower or something, because you just want to keep that small choke point, so then the opponents are just walking into your damage all the time, if that makes sense. But then also you want to make sure you're breaking open the left hand side, so then you can get out of the zone easier. So I like a lot of brawlers that can break open the map, as you probably know. Ruffs, Griff, you've got the likes of Stu as well with a wall break, Gray with a wall break, a lot of wall break options, or at least like Cordelius can jump over the map, for example, or a Barley and Larry and Laurie. I see myself going those brawlers quite a lot, but again, be careful of the tanks because they can really overwhelm you on this map. And for the final game mode, we have Knockout, jumping into Bell's Rock, so another map returning to the rotation. I would say again with Bell's Rock, it's kind of thrower heavy a lot of the time, even since the rework, so be careful of those throwers towards the end of the draft. I'll say most time in the draft, like there's just one thrower per team. We'll probably get the likes of Sprout, as your thrower because he's just so dominant against the meta brawlers on this map, you know, the squishier sharpshooters. I will say again that sharpshooters are pretty overrated on Bell's Rock. There's a lot of strategies that can just force them into spawn and you can win a lot of the time. Against randoms you can probably go with heavy hitters, but again there's just some good synergy brawlers that can just overwhelm them. You know, Ulti, if you want to stop yourself against the cheese, really good on knockout. Meg, really good for pressure. Kit, really good. Buster, really good for pressure. If you can combine Max, for example, with like any type of high HP brawler, you're going to be able to just push the opponents back into spawn. That's the strategy that I go with a lot of time, and it just seems to work. So a lot of good options here in Bell's Rock. Next up we have New Horizons, so another map that has returned from last season. There's only 5 maps that have returned, by the way, and New Horizons is one of them. So like I always say with this map, there's some cheesy strategies. There's a lot of like Buster camping behind those walls. There's a lot of throwers, so be careful of that. So there's like, again, rock paper scissors in draft. There's either you can go Buster or like a brawler that camps behind the wall like a Gene. You can go like a wall break to stop that cheese and also to stop the throwers. So you've got to kind of bear everything in mind of this map because it is very last pick heavy when you think about it. So again, that's why I like the likes of Piper and Brock on this map, because they're sharpshooters, they deal a lot of damage, but they also break open the map to stop you from the cheese. You've got aggro combinations as well with Max and just other high HP brawlers like Draco that can work. There's a lot of good options. And finally for knockout, we have Out in the Open. Here are your best picks on the screen right here. So I really enjoy this map on knockout. It's a lot different, and snipers are definitely the most favorable on this map. So the way that it works, you normally want a wall break to open up that back wall. I would say it's a lot less needed though in this type of meta, just because of the meta brawlers. But Brock can be pretty decent for that, or you at least want someone that can go over the water. So Angela, Eva, normally your preferred brawlers. I would say that Jean's my favorite brawler on this map because literally one shot can scout the entire grass, so that is definitely needed. You see Meg used a lot on this map just to push the opponents back. But this map is very spawn trap heavy, I will say that. You probably won't look at this map and think that, but if you can just push up to their grass, and then the opponents can only really go out of 2 points. So again, that's why I really love Meg, Artie, Buster, Max, any type of aggressive brawler, because literally pushing them back into spawn will win you the game for most cases. So that's going to be it for today's video, by the way. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Again, this took me literally 2 days to do this for you guys, so I really appreciate you guys' support on this. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.